So Nate, first of all, welcome to Brazil. What are your thoughts so far of Rio and this experience to come here to Brazil to fight?
I'm very excited to be here to fight Vitor in Brazil, and so far we've only gone to dinner really, but it's been nice so far. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
It's not our first time fighting in enemy territory, but is it different knowing that Brazil, all the things people say about the Brazilian fans, how passionate they are, and they screaming that you're gonna die and all that?
Yeah, I mean that stuff doesn't really bother me because once I'm in the cage, I'm completely focused on my opponent, and so everything else disappears.
Is it special for you to be in this position, to be his last fight in the UFC, all the history that he built in the UFC, and you're the one fighting him for the last time?
Definitely, it's I'm definitely a Vitor Belfort fan. He's a great fighter. I've watched him for a long time. He's a great guy, and I respect him, and so I'm very honored to have this fight.
He's coming off a few losses, but he's training now at TriStar. Do you expect him to be a different fighter, to be in a different condition now that he's training outside of the US training at TriStar for the first time?
No, I don't expect him to be much different than his previous fights. I mean, honestly, even though he's lost his last couple of fights, he performed very well. I mean, he was able to hurt his opponents, and that's just his style. That he goes for the finish. Sometimes there's a gamble involved when you go for the finish. If you don't finish the guy, sometimes it has a negative effect for you in the fight. So that's just the style of fighter he is. That's what makes him exciting. And so yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great fight.
You expect him to be less aggressive because of that, because he needs this win so bad, because he's going to leave the UFC on a better note coming off a win. Do you expect him to change his style because of that?
No, I mean, I don't expect. I mean, honestly, you never know what to expect from your opponent. So I have to go in there, focus on what I'm going to do.
What about the Brazilian crowd? Are you worried about the pressure and they are screaming all the time?
No, I can't understand Portuguese, so I'm just kidding. I mean, it doesn't bother me because it's just background noise. Once you get in the fight and you focus on your opponent and you focus on your techniques, it's just background noise.
And being back to 185, do you feel this is your place to be, or do you regret trying to go down to 170 in the past? Do you think it wasn't a great move for you?
Yeah, definitely. 185 is where I feel best, where I perform the best, where I can train the hardest. This camp I've been able to train very hard for a long time, and no injuries, and I'm in very good shape. So I wouldn't be able to do that at 170 just because of the if I can't recover because I can't eat enough. So yeah, I feel very good at 185.
But in 170, you had big wins. You had a win over the current UFC welterweight champion. Does that show you that maybe if you get the right diets and all things like that, you will be able to perform at your best?
Well, I think what happened was fighting at 170 once or twice would be okay, but for a long time, it's hard on my body. So I feel much better at 185. I can fight here for a long time.
How much do you weigh right now?
I'm like 195.
So it needs to cut some pounds.
Yeah, and it's going to be very easy.
And now Vitor is leaving the UFC now. He says he's leaving the UFC. What about you? What are your plans for the future? You had a long career in MMA so far. Do you have plans about your next step? You're just thinking about fight at a time, or you're making plans for the long future?
Yeah, just like you said, I've one fight at a time. I mean, you can make as many plans as you want. It doesn't matter. It's only what matters is what happens. And so, in the fight game, in the UFC, you have to take each fight seriously, and you can't look past any fight.
The middleweight division is full of great fighters. They're now putting an interim title with Yo Romero and Whitaker. Do you think you have what it takes to give it a chance to go there and win the UFC title?
Yeah, definitely. I know because I'm able to train with very high level guys, and I know what I can do in the gym, and so I just have to go out and perform well, and that's really what I'm focused on, is performing my best on Saturday.
And is it weird, you were fighting for a long time in MMA, you got all the different times in the sport, and now there are a lot of changes in the UFC and all that, and there's a champion in your division that's waiting for a big fight, and there's an interim title. Is it weird for you after all these years fighting MMA to see this scenario?
I think you know, it happened gradually, so it didn't just happen overnight, and everything that's happened in the middleweight division or in the UFC, you know, it's just a growing sport, you know, and I would say it's still growing, and I would expect to see even more, you know, growth and bigger fights, etc. So.
And this growth, do you think these changes are for the best? Do you think the UFC in this scenario today is better it's a better place for fighters and best for the sport?
Oh yeah, you mean better than it was 10 years ago? Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, of course. There's a lot more fighters, more opportunities, and I'm sure that'll just keep getting better for the fighters.
Just one last question. How do you see yourself beating Vitor Saturday and silencing the crowd?
You know, I can visualize it many different ways, but the main thing is I'm going to go out and perform my best and give everything that I have, and it's going to be a great fight, and I do expect to win.
Vitor said that not necessarily he's going to leave MMA. Do you think he should stop fighting after your fight against him, or he should keep trying other places to fight?
I mean, that's it. So it's not my place to say anything about his career. You know, Vitor's had a very long and successful career, and like I said, even in his losses, he's performed well. It's not like you know, there's nothing I could see that would say, oh, he should retire. He's performing well. He's, you know, against top fighters in the world. So, yeah, if he wants to keep fighting, I would say then that's what he should do.